Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Tuesday, March 22nd. So today we do have the moon moving out of Scorpio energy. It's definitely been a very transformative time in this brand new calendar in Aries season. And the moon will be going void, of course, around noon time, Eastern Standard Time, and will be transiting into and locking into Sagittarian energy around 3 p.m. Now, here's the thing. We usually get illuminated to the darker parts of life, the darker parts of self, where the deep transformation needs to take place in our heart space, in our mind space, in our psyche with the moon in Scorpio. When we move into Sag energy, this is kind of like the light at the end of the tunnel. It's when we become a little bit more optimistic again, when we can see a bigger, broader perspective and situation again. It's when we gain a little bit of clarity. But here's the thing. We are now in a fire season. Aries season is fire. Sag energy is also fire. And as we've been talking about, one of the great lessons that we're going to probably learn the hard way in Aries season is energy management. The downfall of Sag energy is that we're not focused, we lack direction, we're kind of hopped up, overwhelmed, willy-nilly. We tend to bite off more than we can chew. We tend to get a little bit more overwhelmed with thoughts and emotions. And because this is fire on fire, you best believe there's going to be ants in your pants. You best believe there's a very thin line between passion and anger. And we might find ourselves in some situations where we really have to reel it in, where we have to turn the volume down before we absolutely get a little bit of dramatic, get a little bit of a situation that could turn into some conflicts and really make a mess for ourselves. So we're going to want to manage our thoughts, our emotions, our energy, and how we project ourselves out into the world. But first, the moon is still in Scorpio. There are 9 different aspects taking place here today. 7 of them involve the moon. It is definitely a fair balance of the moon in Scorpio for the early part of the day, taking us up to the moon in Sag for the later part of the day. The moon goes ahead and trines Neptune, and this is working very well for us because it's reminding us of our dream, of our vision. It is strengthening our intuition to trust our higher self, to trust the universe and the greater, grander plan. The moon does go ahead, though, and sit across from the true node. And of course, the true node is our destiny point. It's trying to show us where it is that we got to get on track, the direction that we have to take in order to reach our soul's mission, our soul's purpose. Now, this particular energy is a conflict because right now, again, the moon in Scorpio, very attached to the past. The true node, very attached to the future. What are we left with? We're left with ourselves in the present moment, making some serious revisions to the way that we've seen certain situations unfold in the past in order to see where the conflict is still alive and well in the present, in order for us to project ourselves in the future with the dream, with the vision that we're hoping to have, and kind of identify where it is that there are problems in the here and now that are going to prevent us from reaching that futuristic destination. And of course, with the moon in Scorpio, we are high up on problem solving, but we have to really pay attention. We have to be aware in the here and now about what it is that is blocking us from actually aligning to the vision, to the dream that we're now inspired to pursue. The moon will be bumping into Chiron in not the most pleasant way. Chiron, of course, the wounded healer, showing us where the wounds are alive and well, but of course, giving us the wisdom and knowledge in order to actually heal them. This is kind of riding off the earlier coattails of the moon bumping into the true node, putting us in a situation in the present moment to really identify the issues, the problems, the blocks, the challenges, in order for us to actually problem solve them, provide solutions to them, and heal the certain parts of ourselves that are keeping these blockages, these challenges alive and well. The moon with Chiron in this particular situation is going to kind of intensify our extreme emotions, our extreme sensitivity to the situations taking place right now. But again, we have to feel before we can actually heal. Mercury goes ahead and bumps into Saturn in a way that will likely activate and trigger a situation outside of ourselves in our outer realms that will really test our new line of thinking. Now, this has a high probability to show us where it is that we are stuck in the past, where we are stuck in the old narratives, where we have rigid thoughts, where we are blocking our heart from our head in alignment, and where it is that we are kind of biting our tongue in communicating and expressing ourselves fully. Now, this will likely illuminate where it is that we lack the confidence to not only get our heart and our head on the same page in order to actually muster up the courage to take the actions that are needed to get to where it is that we want to be, but it's showing where it is that we're a little bit too vulnerable, too insecure to fully express ourselves, to be raw, to be vulnerable, to actually have that heart to heart. Now, the moon is going to go ahead and sextile Pluto. This is the last aspect that the moon in Scorpio will be making, especially with its ruler, Pluto, the great transformer. This is a positive aspect, which really does suggest that this little cluster F situation that triggers and activates us in our exterior realms will show us where we have the strength, where we have the perseverance, the determination right now to do better, to be better, to think a little bit more positive and optimistically, where it is that we can identify in our own awareness, acting as the observer, where our mental narrative is acting at this particular point as our own worst enemy, preventing us from moving forward, preventing us from the growth that we truly, truly desire. This particular aspect is going to help heal our heart and our head. This is an opportunity to either build yourself up or break yourself down. Pluto likes to illuminate the darker parts of self, the fear, the pain, the amount of suffering that we had to go through in preparation for us to stand in our power to move forward in our power and authority. So again, we always have a choice point. Are you going to allow these darker force energies to paralyze you from moving forward, or are you going to let them inspire you, motivate you to do better, to be better, to push through the pain, to push through the fear? The moon will then move into Sag energy, and the very first aspect that the moon and Sag will make is with Mars. Mars, of course, a fire energy in Aquarius, which means that we're a little bit erratic, we're a little bit spontaneous, we're a little bit unpredictable with our emotions, with our actions right now. And of course, the moon in Sag just wants to move forward, but should really have more clarity and a direction before exerting oneself. This can push us to act on feels. This can push us to make a move. Now, let me tell you, this can go either way. We could act in a courageous, passionate, optimistic way, making a move forward that is going to better the foundations, the routines, the systems that we need to build in order to actually bridge the gap from where it is that we're currently at to where it is that we want to be. Or we could just exert our energy just for the sake of doing it with no intentions, no direction, no amount of clarity, and waste a whole bunch of physical energy, emotional energy on things that aren't helping us at all. Just creating some drama, creating a mess, creating a situation that isn't benefiting us growing and moving forward. Again, the choice is yours. Mars then squares Uranus. Now, Uranus rules over Aquarian energy. So the fact that Mars, who rules over our physical energy, our will, our passion, our drive, even our anger, who is in Aquarian energy, which means that we get surges of motivation. We get surges of will. We get surges of just wanting to move forward. The Great Awakener, Uranus, who is in Tauran energy and Earth energy, focused on building new routines, new relationships, new values, new money matters. This particular square is a tension point. This is almost showing us where it is that our foundations aren't working for us, where it is that we have to muster up a brand new courage and bravery to make the moves in our physical realms with our physical circumstances in order to actually change the energy exchange within ourselves, the way that we feel about ourselves, within our personal relationships. And this is going to create a little bit of rebellion in us. Now, I want you to be very careful. This energy has the potential to create some very silly accidents. This can create ants in our pants, anxiety, irritability. And again, if we're acting out of this very electric energy with no real mission, no real purpose, we're going to create a mess for ourselves. So we want to be very aware of the energy coming in, very aware of our physical body, and choose to exert that energy in very, very healthy and safe ways. The moon goes ahead and trines the sun. This is fire on fire. This is an opportunity for us to burn the old narrative, burn the old emotions, burn the old situations of the past, and really put us in a beautiful position in the here and now to orient to the actions needed for us to manifest our future. This is very hopeful energy. This is illuminating for us where the possibilities now are alive and well, where the broader, bigger picture is now revealing itself. This is a beautiful energy for us to realize where our movement, where our action, where our energy needs to be spent first and foremost in our physical realms, in our heart space, in our head space to get in alignment. Our heart and our head needs to agree before our body can engage in action to actually take control in our physical realms to bridge the gap from where it is that we're at to where it is that we want to be. Lastly, the moon goes ahead and makes a very positive aspect with Venus. Venus, of course, is the goddess of love and beauty and worth and pleasure and joy and happiness. And the moon in Sag is all for it. We just want to move forward. We want to be happy. We want to be positive. We want to be optimistic. Now, Venus being in Aquarius has been a little bit rigid, has been a little bit cold and distant. She's off, trying to get her vibe right, trying to figure out what it is that she wants for herself. And this particular aspect is going to show us where it is that we're lacking closeness and intimacy in our connections, in our relationships. And this isn't a bad thing because we need to become aware of where it is that we're feeling this disconnect in order for us to repair it. We have to recognize where the repair is needed in order for us to gain a bigger, broader perspective and vision on what it is that we actually want the outcome of these relationships to look like. And of course, all the relationships in our lives are just mirroring back to us the relationship that we have with ourselves. And the more we strengthen our values, our worth, our confidence, our esteem within ourselves, the better our personal relationships are. We want to constantly be pushing ourselves to grow. And in doing so, we have to implement new boundaries. And when we implement new boundaries, we get to see who cares about us enough to meet us at that particular boundary, respect that boundary, respect the fact that we need that boundary, and do what is necessary in order to stay in our lives. In the same token, we also see who is not willing to respect our boundaries. And of course, that is a clear-cut way, a clear-cut path to showing these particular individuals the door.